The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you, 'cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 29 of In a Good Way. I'm like, is it 20? Yeah, 29 of In a Good Way podcast. I was supposed to do this interview with somebody, but I'm just gonna do it myself. So let me get right into it. Obviously, if you read the title, this video is about spiritual warfare. First off, I'll put it to you like this. Obviously, if you're here, it's because you're going through something, or you know what time it is, right? You know that it exists, right? Or you just want to know that you're not crazy, right? Or something like that. So spiritual warfare. So I'll try to make this in a few parts because I don't want to be all over the place. So I'll probably make a, episode 29, part 1, part 2, episode 30, part 3, episode 31, like that, until I get out what I need to get out. So first off, you got to think about it like this. Back in the days when people were writing things about spiritual warfare, there was no YouTube to monetize. There was no, just the amount of time it took to write something, the amount of time to etch something in stone or to get a papyrus leaf and, have to write this information down to pass to somebody because it was that important, or whatever they saw, right? Like that drive inside, right? To want to help, right? Like, obviously in today's society, it's all flipped upside down, and you got people that will do things for money, or they start with good intentions. Like they say, I think the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So at some point someone starts off in a, like trying to be a philanthropist, and then they go off into something else, right? Like, time and time again that happens, right? Where it's like, man, this money's so good. I'll put it to you like this. There were certain interviews I was supposed to do that people changed their mind, and I didn't know what the reason was behind that, right? And I let it be because everyone has a different journey, right? I don't take it personal. It is what it is. With that said, it sometimes feels like even that's a spiritual battle, because then, it throws a wrench. Like, when you're working with somebody, it throws a wrench in like something that's mapped out, right? Like, because it's like at work, right? Like if someone just doesn't, like a no call, no show kind of thing, then what happens, right? Like I've been there in that situation where worker didn't show up, and then everything's getting backed up, where there's conveyor belts and stuff, and it's like all hell breaks loose because someone didn't give you a heads up with something like that. So just to show, I guess I don't want to get into that, right? But whatever. So anyways, so spiritual warfare 101 is that, knowing that, people long ago were trying to pass this information, right? And you could find it in all kinds of things from scripture, right? I'll read some after, just so you guys could see like how important it was, or I'll do it on the part 2 on this one. I'll just talk about it. But even if you don't want to believe in the Bible, right? If you want to say, well, the Bible's been rewritten and this and that, it's so, so I don't believe nothing in the Bible. Cool. But even that, right? Take note to what I said in the beginning. It's the amount of time it took for someone to write stuff. Maybe not, maybe you see, once they saw it had power, and then they kind of changed things to their benefit, right? Like all the books. So that's where I'm getting at. Think of all the books they took off, like the book of Enoch, right? That they took out of the Bible. That the Bible really doesn't make sense without the book of Enoch, right? If you haven't read the book of Enoch, where it's telling you in detail certain things, right? And even there, it's like, it's very descriptive about certain things. So look at the books that were even taken out of the Bible, and then when you see the spiritual things going on in there, then you can see that there's no benefit to, there was no benefit to writing that, right? Other than teaching, like Enoch, I believe it says that, he was taken up, right? Like by God, and allowed to come back and give all these books to his sons, if I'm not mistaken, right? So he went to give the knowledge to his sons, and then obviously from there it spread out to more, right? Like his sons, I guess, chose to spread it out, right? So, anyways, look at the books that, even in you know, I don't know if it's directly in the Quran or if it's like, just in that area of the world in general where it talks about jinn, right? These spirits that are not good or bad, but they can be on either side, right? It's more like there's a purpose to them, right? So let me see. So on this one, I'll just talk real quick about, since it's fresh on my mind, I wanted to talk to you guys about, for example, the tarot, right? Um, Even if you don't believe in that, you might want to listen to this because you'll get some information from it, right? I've never really heard any tarot readers say this either, so it's not like a common thing, right? Um, I think aside from one, and that's it, right? So, for example, and I'll post it here. For example, if you look at the tarot card, it'll all makes sense in the end, so just bear with me. So even in the tarot card, right, and the devil tarot card, um, you know, like when you get it, I guess in the tarot reading, it's probably more of a warning as opposed to, oh, it's just like the devil all hell's breaking loose. But it is like, we'll say it has a negative feeling to it a lot of times, right? So anyways, it's kind of like, if you look at the card and you look at the devil, he's holding up this sign, right? That, people have long put as like, live long and prosper from Spock, right? From Star Trek. And I'll go into that after, how subliminal messages are used. If you don't believe in that they're attacking your subconscious, even if you don't want to believe in spiritual things, then let's say they know the human so well that they understand that the battle to conquering or enslaving humans is really the mind, right? Through the mind, and it comes in through the eyes, right? So what we see, they attack that and then put things in your brain because they understand the subconscious is even stronger than your conscious mind, right? Your subconscious, the human mind is a supercomputer regardless, so it's analyzing the information without you realizing it. And so that's why they're putting things through movies and pictures and advertisements, right? So let me go into like what that devil card means, right? So this is not live long and prosper, right? It has to do with saying what you see is all there is. Why is that important? What you see is all there is. Because in that card, even if you see the people, right? Like, it's almost like everything, like that's it. They want you to stay stuck in this world. The material world is all that exists. There's nothing spiritual. There's not spiritual warfare going on. There's not nothing after this. So I might as well do what I want here, right? So that's where it begins. That's why that's so important. What you see is all there is, right? And our subconscious mind might already have known what that was, from whether you believe in past lives or not. But to be putting that in our head, because I used to do that when I was a kid, because someone was like, oh, if you could do this, like you're a cool guy or something, in elementary. And so I was like, I could do it, And so imagine, even in elementary, kids are throwing up the, what you see is all there is, like pretty crazy, right? So it's showing like that disconnection with the spirit world, right? With something, the higher consciousness, right? That this isn't all there is, right? This matrix, now, since it's the cool word, is not all there is, right? This illusion that has been created, even though it's see, you don't have to say like it's an illusion, like it's not real, because we experience it, right? We feel it, we smell it, we taste it, right? So it feels pretty damn real, right? Just like in the movie The Matrix, where the guy's like, I choose the Matrix because he's all, man, I know this isn't real, but it sure tastes good, or something like that, when he's eating something or something, right? Or all those things, right? Like the carnal pleasures, right? Like, having sex and this and that, all these things that, so that's the devil, right? Like, and it's like the saying, the greatest trick the devil ever he pulled was to make the whole world believe that he didn't exist. So there's no devil, there's no this, there's no that, there's no spiritual warfare going on. All you see, what you see is all there is, right? So, if you look Even that, right? Like the two figures in the devil card, they have these chains around their neck, and they're kind of loose. So they could throw them off at any moment, right? So they're keeping themselves in bondage, right? And see, the opposite of that is the lover's card, which happens to be like, the Gemini card, right? So, that's me. Not like in a funny way, but it's just funny, right? To me, like, right, that the opposite of that is the devil, right? So, anyways, um, what do you call it? So in the lover's card, the woman's looking to up towards, like, you could say angel, spirit world, God, and then the man's looking to the woman, right? That's kind of a deep statement because it's weird, right? Like in different cultures, it's different, right? Obviously, in the Bible, it's like it was the man that was the more connected spiritually, right? Because it was the woman that gave in to the, oh, surely if you eat this, you won't die. But then in the tarot, it's like the opposite, right? It's the woman that's connected spiritually, and man kind of goes, his connection to the spirit world is through her, and in biblical teachings, it's more like so. So regardless, we could put it like this to not cause a divide between man and woman, is that just in general, sometimes it is like that, right? In a partnership, one person is always more divinely connected, right? So we'll just put it like that. However you want to look at it, right? So in the tarot, it's like the woman's connection to the spirit world, and then man with her, right? But and they're both naked, right? So it's kind of like there's nothing, no perversion about being naked or sex or nothing like that. They're not showing like it in a negative way, right? Even in the Bible, right? In the Garden of Eden, they were both naked, right? Which obviously the tarot took it from there, right? Obviously, I'm sure I think the Bible is way more, a lot older than the tarot. Maybe not. Maybe I think, even that they say that the tarot stuff was taken. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that because that is something I haven't studied, right? But um, so in the devil card, everything's the opposite, right? It's like the woman's looking directly at the man, and it's like that's it. What you see is all there is. They're just looking at each other, like, the man's passion is being burnt, like the devil, I think, is holding a torch to his tail, which could symbolize that, right? Like the passion burning on the woman's end. She has grapes, right? And what is grapes? It's like you picture the old stuff with a huge fan, and oh, someone's getting fed grapes, right? It's all pleasure, right? Carnal pleasure, right? Like all your senses, right? The burning fire of like the carnal pleasure, the grapes taste, right? Smell, all that stuff, right? So it's that kind of stuff, right? While staying bound, um, because the chains could come off at any time. Like you're staying bound because you want to, right? Even though it's funny that they make the devil look very, um, very, what is it, like a character, right? Like a caricature. Caricature. I believe that's the right word. Caricature, right? Of the devil. He looks all whatever. So everything in that card, just to show you, right? It's showing you, and that's why it's crazy that a lot of readers never mention that, because I get it, right? There's the intuitive reading, and boom, this is the message that's coming through right now. So all that deeper stuff with symbolism doesn't matter, right? Um, but it does, right? Like I know, right? Like I've said it before. I took like advertising marketing, um, and sales and promotions and all these classes in college, and so I learned about how much all these things are, how much research goes into, and the funny thing is it's not even nothing new. Like Pythagoras found that out. I believe I read where he did a study. I think these I don't know, someone had one of those duel things. Someone was gonna have a duel, like to kill each other, or someone was upset, something. And so he played music, and he saw that it calmed this man down. He didn't want to kill the other guy no more. So since ancient times, someone, and he wrote this, it was written in like documents, right? So he saw the power of music and all that. So you think anything I'm telling you, I guarantee you that someone with a Harvard or Yale education or all this stuff, they should know, right? Like so it's not whoever advises these companies or this or that, or the devil himself, right? Or if he's advising whatever CEO or whatever company, Coca-Cola or whoever's doing stuff out there that's just crazy, you know, then that's what it is, right? So anyways, so yeah, so I don't want to really make this too long for being the part one. I just wanted to explain that, right? Like how even that, right? Even in these things and the symbolism is there. Well, I'll talk about this since it just happened. Like whether they're doing it to distract us or not, you see with like, and I even didn't want to bring them up, right? Like, but that whole Kanye Kim Kardashian thing, right? How they showed this Balenciaga thing, whatever, however you say Balenciaga, whatever, that even in the picture with you know, of these kids, right? There's like really disturbing imagery with the kids, and they did the things, that was their sneaky way of doing it, right? With putting like the stuffed animals and like this inappropriate stuff. But even that, the fact that someone took the time to, and I'll do stuff like that, right? I pause, like I'll see a movie and I pause it and I'm like, hold up, did they really just put this imagery in the movie? And like I told you about the subconscious mind, right? Like, so I know it's a reason because it's on purpose. Like you can't have imagery like that in a movie or stuff like that unless you know what it means, right? Like you're not gonna go through that length. Like, hey, we got to put this so exact, so perfectly orchestrated to attack your subconscious mind, right? So that fact that someone like on the desk, and like I said, it could have been all like, hey, we're gonna distract everybody and whatever reason, because I'm sure no one's gonna come to, because they hid it under the guise of art, right? Like it's okay to do pedophile stuff, and I feel like that, right? Like they smooth it in to make it acceptable, right? Because it's not about, that's what people don't get. The war isn't about you. It starts, it's attacking the younger generation, right? Because you bring them up like that, by the time they hit our age as adults, they've already been brainwashed. So that's the thing. When you allow your kids to like, I don't care, I listen to, like I never forgot when Cardi B, I guess her song was on, and then her little kid comes in and she runs to turn off her own song because she didn't feel it was appropriate for her own kid. So why are you putting that out for everyone's kids, right? And not as an adult, yeah, not to say I don't like her music, but imagine, like, the goal isn't to, for an adult, right? Because that has the ability to say, wow, I get it. Like, this is this is inappropriate. Like, it wouldn't have been appropriate because it would have molded your mind into something else, right? Like, whatever, whether she's teaching all these young girls to like grow up and be strippers, or do what you got to do to get that money and forget everything else, right? Because what you see is all there is, right? Back to that, the importance of that, right? So that's what you got to understand, right? It's like when they say, imagine that the cigarette companies spend all that money in advertisement and it was all eye level for the kids, right? When they brought that out, like, hold up, like, these dudes spend all this money and it's the adults smoking, so why are they putting the advertisement low for the kids to see? Because that's when it starts, right? And I learned that, it's kind of sad because I learned that in when I was taking these classes in college about the number one demographic for selling stuff to was like girls, I don't know, from like the age of 10 to 14 or something. So it was even, because I've always felt that, right? I mean, if you mess up girls, you messed up men. Like, I've known that always, right? It was like you mess up a one, because even at that young age, right, when a man's developing, um, like, damn, that's what your whole goal is almost, right? Like, you see a girl, you fall. That's when even though they call it puppy love, I think that's some of the purest stuff, right? There really is no, well, when you fall in love when you're young, it's because you see this person, something about their energy, something about, like, you really are drawn, right? uh at that stage, right? For a man, right? I'm not talking about like obviously, like, even that, like, I remember this movie Lucas where the kid's all in love with the girl and then she's in love with like the football player, and it's funny because he even gets it, right? Like, she's all, well, he's all, I guess what she tells him, well, you tell me why am I attracted to him? And he tells her scientifically like why she's attracted to him. But for him, see, like, he sees her and he's like in love with her, right? So for young men, it's very pure, right? Of course, after, yeah, all the depending who you're around, of course, things could go different, and you kind of become who you hang around with, right? So if you're around people that are just, they're already like, yeah, just hook up with this. Like I remember, I'll put it to you like this: the very first girl I made out with, like I thought she was gonna be like my girlfriend or something, and then after, with like I think she already had a boyfriend, and then all this stuff, I was just like, what the hell? So that was my introduction into the whole like dating world, right? So from that moment, I was molded in a certain way that, oh, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Like, I thought it did, but I guess it really doesn't, right? See, so if you attack women's subconscious, that right, like they're helping guide men, especially at a pivotal young age, right? That's why moms are so important when they're raising their kid. Um, there's so many things I could say about that, but I'm not going to. But anyways, back to the whole attacking you when you're young, right? So that's why the number one demographic they try to sell to, because even that, a young woman will like, see, I'm talking about it on a deeper, like spiritual level, but uh, I guess because they're the number one that will bug, right? Like the parents, like at that age, like, oh, well, back then there were CDs, right? When I took that class, and so, oh, the boy band, right? A mom will fork out, I don't know how much money to take her, and that, right? Like they're not gonna let them go alone all the time. So sometimes the parent has to chaperone to this Justin Bieber concert or whoever the cool K-pop person is now or whatever, right? Like like they'll spend that money because that's the number one demographic, right? So they start attacking your mind at that point, right? And that, I'm mentioning all this because it ties back to that card, right, of the lovers, right? Where in a way, like, see, I see that, right? How the man is looking at the woman, and it's like, because at a young age, it does start like that, right? And then after everyone gets, you just keep getting more corrupted, right? As time goes by, you begin to get influence around what you're around, right? So then it becomes, like I could say this because I've known tons of women that said like the first words out of their mouth when talking about someone they met was like, oh, he has all this money, or oh, I could get this out of him, or I could get that out of him. And people I never expected to hear that from, right? So I've heard these things. So I know, or a man trying to sleep with a woman, right? Just to get, the sexual gratification. So I've heard it on both ends. As you get older, it becomes something now. That's why I said it's pure when it's young. So that's why you start driving the divide at a young age, right? And that's so to me that's, I guess I call it spiritual because that, right? Like it's tricking you that what you see is all there is. I'm gonna keep saying that until you get it in your head that that's what the illusion that they wanted to bring you, right? Like that this is it, right? And there's obviously, like, if you see the interviews, I think even when I interviewed Debbie Gleason, if you see that one, I've interviewed her 3 times, but I think on the first interview where she talks about she had this vision or dream about, I think she said it in the interview. I'm almost certain about the, like, it. I guess in her dream it was called doom scrolling, right? Like where they just kept putting all the negative stuff on the news and this and that, and just keeping you like boom, 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 right? Um, so even in terminology, right? Like how during the whole pandemic thing and everything, like it was called, spiritually, it's like everyone in the spiritual community was kind of talking about that, how it was like, the crown, your crown chakra, your crown, all this stuff, how it was called that out of all things, the corona, your crown, right? And even yeah, all this stuff, right? There was even a biblical kind of, or for me, I made that out. I don't think I ever made a video about it, but even in the Bible, it talks about the crown and this and that. Um, so they're always gonna attack your brain, right? And during that, what did they do? Like there were even people that died from the fear, right? Like because they kept pushing it, boom, fear, 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 fear. You're gonna die. And imagine that people died from fear. Like that's insane. That the anxiety, that is the panic, that like if it's bad enough, like if there was, this virus thing going around, everyone's getting sick, why would they push it to get you to kill people for, that's the heartlessness, right? That's the war you're up against. So you got to be in it on a daily basis. uh that's the spiritual war, right? And so let me see, I forgot where I have the thing about the biblical things, right? So I could leave it on that. Well, you know, the one about how we're fighting against principalities, right? And this and that. Um, so it's not things you can really see like this war always, right? And so, you know, like I'll end it with sugar free. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, right? Like for those of you that know about rap music and that, I love that saying, right? But it's true, you do have to stay ready. Um, I'll make the part two and read all that stuff. I don't know how long I've gone already. So I just want to end it there. If that's you know, hopefully you got some information off of that. I know that was a lot, but remember that, right? Like the point is to make you believe that this is all there is, right? And that there's nothing else. You know, I'm not gonna go over here and tell you that oh, you're gonna pay for this or that after, right? That's not my job to try to scare you into nothing, right? I believe that there is accountability uh at some point, right? I believe from what I've seen, right? Other people might, you know, I hear a lot of people say they see other things, right? That oh, you go and it's nothing, right? But from what I've seen, I think there is some kind of accountability mirror that's held up, and whether you choose to hold yourself accountable is going to be your choice, right? Um, but that's kind of just to start off, right? So this is spiritual warfare part one. Hope you guys enjoyed. You know, comment, let me know about some of your battles. It might be something that you know I'm gonna end up talking about in the next episode anyways. So let me know. And you know, I'll have all the notes on the next one, because this one I just felt like I needed to make it you know, and get it started. Like I said, there was a lot of things that jumped in front of me making this video to where I almost didn't even make it. So that's why, to me, in a way, that was like some spiritual warfare stuff, right? The fact that, you know, there kept being like things jumping in the way, right? So I'll end it there. Thank you for listening. You know, I have so many videos on this channel at this point. I thank you all that have been on this journey with me this long. And that's it. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.